The WIDA Framework, a short video by Eric. World-Class Instructional Design and Assessment, or WIDA, is a consortium of about 33 states whose goal is to better education for English language learners. WIDA has created several assessments and a variety of other tools in order to achieve this goal. Now I'll briefly introduce these assessments and tools. When a new student needs to be tested, often the first thing they're given is the WAPT, the WIDA Access Placement Test. This is a screener test that estimates what a student would get on the actual access test given in January. It is meant to be administered individually and is an adaptive test. The WAPT gives an estimated score for all 4 language domains. That's listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Next, let's talk about the access test. The access test is given once a year, usually around January, and rates students on their skills in each of the 4 language domains. Students are identified as being on one of the 6 English language proficiency levels with respect to the WIDA ELD standards. Now that we have access scores, or even WAPT scores, we can take a look at the standards. The 2012 amplification of the WIDA ELD standards is a great tool for ESL teachers and mainstream teachers alike. The amplified standards include connections to other content areas, an example context for language use, cognitive functions which relate to Bloom's taxonomy, model performance indicators or MPIs for each level of proficiency, and topic-related language. The model performance indicators are especially useful because they provide detailed descriptions of what students at each level of proficiency should be able to do. Another WIDA tool, the can-do descriptors, also describe what students should be able to do at varying levels of proficiency. The biggest differences between the can-do descriptors and the amplified standards are that the can-do descriptors are made to be used very quickly. That's part of what makes them so useful, especially for classroom teachers. They're broken up by language domain and by proficiency level. So if you want to know what a level 1 student should be able to do as far as speaking, you just look in the level 1 column, in the speaking row, and you read what's there. They should be able to name objects, people, and pictures. They should also be able to answer who, what, when, where, and which questions. It's easy. So now that we have this understanding, we can highlight the second big difference between the amplified standards and the can-do descriptors. The can-do descriptors really loan themselves to writing learning targets. One of the best practices of teaching an English language learner is that along with content objectives, teachers also post language learning objectives. Utilizing all the WIDA knowledge and looking at the can-do descriptors, teachers can write an appropriate language learning objective to go along with their content objective. So let's review. If I'm a classroom teacher and I have a new student and that student takes the WAPT, let's say they get a 1.5 in listening. So I would look at the amplified standards at the model proficiency indicators, and that should tell me the kinds of behaviors I should look for and that the kinds of things that the student should be able to do. Then I could look further at the can-do descriptors in order to help myself write language learning targets that go along with my content learning targets. In that way, as a classroom teacher, I'm helping the student develop language proficiency as well as content proficiency. See how it works? Not so bad, right?